for the Garvey movement, right? So we on the back of the Garvey newspaper, and the Garvey's voice, and everybody like, you moving up, young blood. They say, young blood, you about to take the stage with some major people. So I'm like, okay, this is my chance to shine. This is my chance. North Carolina Central. And I got up there and I tore it down. And when we were done, we went to the restaurant to eat. And Tony Martin, rest in peace, because he passed away he just stood staring at me. True story, y'all. Tony Martin, the Garvey scholar who wrote Race First, which is a book that all of y'all need to read. I think it's the best book written on the history of the Garvey movement other than Garvey and Garveyism, written by Queen Mother Amy Jakes Garvey, rest in peace. So Tony Martin is staring. And you know what I'm saying to myself as I'm sitting there? He wasn't staring with negativity. He was staring with shock. He never heard of me ever in his life. First time Tony Martin, the official scholar for the Garvey movement, historian for the Garvey, ever seen Umar Johnson was on stage at North Carolina Central, right? And I was the last person to speak. Tony Martin is looking at me with his eyes wide open. And I'm saying to myself, this man is in awe because you remind him so much of Marcus Garvey. He is looking because he sees in you the potential to do what Garvey do. I don't know if that's what he felt, brothers and sisters. I don't know if that's what he's felt. But you ever see somebody just drop their mouth wide open like you have no idea who you are? That's the look he gave me. You have no idea who you are. And then Renoko comes over, right? Renoko don't know me either. I mean, he's heard of me, you know, but he don't know me that well. And he's never seen me speak. And I'll never forget this. And I don't even know if Renoko remembers this. Elder Renoko remembers this. Renoko walked over to me. And I don't know if you remember this, Renoko. You looked over at me and you said, what did you say? You said, remember me when you get famous. Renoko Rashidi said, Renoko said something about you're going to be famous. And don't forget us little people, or remember me when you become famous. And basically, I took that to mean, to have Renoko Rashidi say that to me, I took that to mean that he was basically, to some extent, giving me an anointing. But anyway, I was still local Umar Johnson. You know, I was known in Philly. I was known throughout the UNIA. So they flew me to Atlanta. They flew me to North Carolina. And then we drove to New York. I spoke at the UNIA in Brooklyn or Harlem. But it was only for UNIA people. It wasn't public. Okay? So basically, I was just a local Pennsylvania school psychologist, right? And that went on from 2000 all the way to 2010. So we about to jump 10 years. Y'all ready for the jump? Because now I'm about to bring y'all into where we are now. So it's 2010. Wait, I got to back up. I go to Africa in 2005. I go to Africa for the first time. I become Minister of Education in 2004. I get appointed Minister of Education for the entire UNIA 2004. I go to Africa in 2005. Why does Dr. Umar Johnson go to Africa? Because we were at a Marcus Garvey exoneration program at the African American Museum in Philadelphia. Julius Garvey was there, Marcus Garvey's son. We met for the first time. The UNIA was trying to do what? Exonerate Marcus Garvey's name from those trumped up charges that J. Edgar Hoover put on the greatest black leader of the 20th century. And we had a program at the African American Museum in Philadelphia in order to fight to get Garvey exonerated, right? Julius Garvey speaks, other leaders speak, and then I speak. In fact, I was the moderator. And Julius Garvey comes over to me, the son of Marcus Garvey, and he says, you remind me of Malcolm X. You are so much Malcolm X. This is what Julius Garvey tells me. And then I look up at Dr. Julius Garvey, and I say, I'm disappointed because I don't just want to remind you of Malcolm X. I want to remind you of your daddy, Marcus Garvey. Why don't I remind you of you? And Julius Garvey says, well, you got to remember something, Umar. I was a young man when my father died. So I really, didn't get a chance to see him speak on the platform as often as I got a chance to see Malcolm X, because me and Malcolm X would be about the same age. So he says, don't take offense. It's just that Malcolm is who I really got to see mature. And my father passed away when I was still a young man. So we laughed it off. But anyway, a brother by the name of Nnamdi Azikiwe from the Washington, D.C. UNIA. Nnamdi Azikiwe comes over and he says, they need you in Africa, brother. He said, they need you in Africa, brother. And then also Dr. Temple University, Malefi Asante was there. Dr. Malefi Asante also spoke with Julius Garvey and myself at the Marcus Garvey Exoneration Program in Philly. This is '04. This is '04. So it's Julius, it is Malefi, and it's the young prince. But I'm not the prince of Pan-Africanism yet. I'm on my way. I'm still local. New York ain't heard of me yet. Chicago ain't heard of me yet. Detroit ain't heard of me yet. Africa hasn't heard of me yet. Jamaica hasn't heard of me yet. China, Japan, England, Canada, they don't know about me yet. Okay? So then anyway, Nnamdi Azikiwe says, they need you in Africa. I said, I'm ready, brother. I'm ready to go to Africa. He said, we got UNIA chapters in Africa who feel that they're not being given the attention that they deserve. And he said, you are Minister of Education. You should use your Ministry of Education to go to Africa and build. And I say, that's what I'm going to do. So Nnamdi Azikiwe gave me the number of a travel agent, Kia Travel. Some of y'all who live in Washington, D.C., you might be familiar with Kia Travel, K-I-A. They're Ethiopians. So I called Kia Travel and I said, I need to go to South Africa. I need to go to Nigeria. I need to go to Senegal, right? Now, Kia Travel said, would you mind being in Ethiopia for a couple days? I said, sure. Because the Rasta brothers was in Ethiopia, and the Rasta brothers told me that I need to go to Shashamani. Shout out to my Rastas, my Naya Bengi Rastas, my 12 Tribe Rastas, my EWF Rastas, and shout out to my Bobo Shanti Rastafari. Freedom, redemption, international repatriation. So my mother think I'm crazy, right? My family think I'm crazy because I come home and I tell them that I'm going to Africa for 30 days and 30 nights by myself. They said, what? Mind you, I'm 29 years old. I said, I'm going to Africa for the first time by myself because nobody else can go for 30 days and 30 nights. And since I'm a psychologist with the School District of Philadelphia, I get the summers off, right? I get the summers off. So I'm going. We got a Garvey chapter in South Africa, Johannesburg. We got a Garvey chapter in Dakar, Senegal. And we got several Garvey chapters in Nigeria. And I'm going over there to let them know that we need them because nobody else is doing it. I'm the only young person on the parent body of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and I'm going to take it upon my responsibility to go and spread the Garvey message. So they scared. I go and get my yellow fever shot. I do all that. I pay for my ticket, okay, and it's time to go. I went to Africa on July the 1st, and I got back August the 2nd, I believe it was. I was in Ethiopia for a week, South Africa for a week, Senegal for a week, Nigeria. So I did Ethiopia, South Africa. My luggage, I had to wear the same clothes for almost a whole week in South Africa because Homeland Security, this I know the government been watching me for a long time. Homeland Security took my luggage and shipped it to Germany somewhere. And they went through my luggage. And it took me a week to get my luggage. And I know they was wondering what I was doing because I had a whole bunch of red, black, and green flags and Garvey books. I know they like, he got an Arabic name, Umar Abdullah Johnson, but he got a suitcase full of red, black, and green flags. Is he going to Africa to start a revolution? So anyway, I finally get my luggage. Then I go to Nigeria. I love Nigeria. I loved all the countries. When I first got to Ethiopia, when I landed in Africa for the first time, I land in Ethiopia. That was powerful. My first time I set foot on African soil, it was in the cradle of civilization. And when I stayed in Ethiopia, I stayed at the Hotel Gihan. I stayed at Hotel Gihan, which was built by His Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. So I'm in Ethiopia. I'm a little scared because I'm in Africa for the first time. I'm by myself. It's dark outside. I don't know what the CIA and the FBI are up to. So then I order some food, right? And I never forget this. It almost made me cry. The brother who brought my food walks in. And I really believe, brothers and sisters, that a spirit was in that brother, because when he walked in my room, he was so humble. He was so humble. He said, "Welcome to Africa, my brother. Here is your food. If there's anything I can do to help you or to help make your stay." And I'm trying to remember what he said. And I cried. I cried because here I am in Africa. Wait a minute, because I ain't going to cry again. Hold on. Okay. Woo. All right, I'm back. Woo. right, let me try to get through this. All right. I'm going to skip that. I got to skip that. So, my last week in Africa, shit, come on. Okay, we good. We good. Okay. My last week, I'm in Senegal. We go to Senegal. So I did Ethiopia. I did South Africa. I did Nigeria. We get to Senegal, right? Senegal is the last stop. It's the last week. I say, I want to go to Goree Island because I've never been to the slave dungeon. So I say I want to go to Goree Island. So the brother, my host, I forget his name. What was the